Today on Underdogz.
Who is one of the greatest boxers and advocates for racial equality of all time? Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Today on Underdogz, we're talking about Muhammad Ali. Cassius Clay was born January 17, 1942 in Louisville, Kentucky. That's right, Muhammad Ali's birth name was actually Cassius Clay, but he later changed his name after becoming influenced by Malcolm X, an African-American Islamic religious movement which aimed at improving the quality of lives of African Americans. He considered Cassius Clay to be a slave name and Muhammad Ali to be free, meaning beloved of God. At 12 years old, he had his bike stolen from the local fair and he went to the police station saying, "I'm gonna whoop whoever stole my bike." The policeman, Joe Martin, happened to train young boxers at the time and took Ali under his wing, helping him channel his inner angle towards boxing. He was a talented boxer from the get-go. Just 2 years after starting, he won the Golden Gloves tournament as a light heavyweight. In 1960, at 18 years old, he had his first major success, winning a gold medal at the Rome Olympics as a light heavyweight. Upon returning to Louisville, he was a local hero amongst African Americans. However, at this time in the deep south of the United States, there was racial segregation. He went to a restaurant looking for a meal and was refused service because it was whites only. This made him so mad, he walked over to the Ohio River and threw his gold medal into the water. It was a big move for a young champion and someone as proud as Muhammad Ali. After the Olympics, Ali turned professional and went on a tear. He won his first 19 fights, 15 of them by knockout. He got his first title shot in 1964 against heavyweight world champion Sonny Liston. He was a massive 7-1 underdog and shocked the sports world when Sonny Liston threw in the towel in the 7th round, making Ali world champ for the first time. The next year in the rematch, Ali knocked him out again, but this time in the first round, and I'm sure you've seen this famous picture before. In 1967, Ali was drafted into the US Army but refused to go. He was firmly opposed to the war in Vietnam, saying,
"My conscience won't let me go shoot my brother or some poor hungry people in the mud for big powerful America and shoot them for what?"
He was charged, his passport was revoked, he was stripped of his heavyweight championship, and he was banned from professional boxing for 3 years. In 1971, upon his return, Ali fought heavyweight champion Joe Frazier in the first of their trilogy of fights. It was considered to be the biggest sporting event in history, called the Fight of the Century at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Joe Frazier won by unanimous decision in the 15th round. However, Ali got the best of Joe Frazier in their 2 rematches called the Super Fight 2 and the Thrilla in Manila. In 1974, Ali took part in one of sport's biggest events in history, called the Rumble in the Jungle in Zaire, now known as the Republic of Congo. His opponent, George Foreman, who you might remember from the George Foreman Grill. Fun fact, George Foreman has 5 sons named George and 1 daughter named Georgetta. Foreman was a heavy-hitting, unbeaten world champion, and Ali employed a crazy strategy in this fight called the rope-a-dope, which you might have heard of before. He let George Foreman just beat the shit out of him for 7 rounds until Foreman was exhausted from throwing punches. Then, Ali, in the 8th round, the big underdog, knocked him out. 4 years later, in 1978, Ali lost his heavyweight title to Leon Spinks, only to win it back a few months later in New Orleans. This was the 3rd time Ali won the heavyweight title, making it the most in history. A few years later, at age 39, Ali retired from boxing and shortly after was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which would take a major toll on his health for the rest of his life. Ali was known for his charisma, his wit, and his rhymes. He had a larger-than-life personality and was largely a performer. He was probably the most confident man I've ever seen in my life. This is a big reason he became such an inspiration and leader for generations to come. He was a risk-taker, he fought for the civil rights movement, and he sacrificed precious years of his life as he was sternly opposed to the Vietnam War. In 2005, he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor. Ali passed away at 74 years old in 2016. He lived his life as a champion of the people, he was a major philanthropist, And not only do I consider him to be one of my personal heroes, but he was one of the best leaders in all of history.